The Game Boy Color was a short-lived subsection of the original Game Boy. Sure, it played all the Game Boy games and colorized the old ones, but it had a ton of shovelware. And in that sea of shovelware was a few great gems. So, I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games, and today I count down my top 10 Game Boy Color games.
Second Opinion Games.
Number 10, Game & Watch Volume 3. Now, what the Game Boy did right was really quick time wasters. Games that you were able to pick up and play and just knock out a few minutes while waiting at a doctor's appointment or something like that. And that's what this game did absolutely perfectly. They just took some old Game & Watch games, modernized them just the very tiniest bit, and then re-released it on this package. And they did a pretty terrific job at that. They colorized it fairly well, and the music is better than ever. They also showed the dual screen functionality of sort of the DS style titles, which is really cool. Now the screen has to scroll up and down. And of course, my favorite here is Donkey Kong Jr., because Donkey Kong Jr. really gets a bad rap. I wish they would remake another Donkey Kong Jr. style game. I think it would be great. Instead, they just keep on turning out more Donkey Kong Country ones, which is okay, but I want that good old vine climbing. Come on, give me some more Donkey Kong Jr. Number 9, Motocross Madness. Now, I really love Excite Bike, and this game is just like a 2D version of Excite Bike. You don't have a lot of enemies on screen to race against. You're more racing against the clock. But what the game does have is a heck of a lot of tricks. You could even go through loops like you're Sonic the Hedgehog, or maybe a little half pike, and you always want to give it gas for a little bit of extra boost to collect some big points or collectibles. But one of the coolest thing about it is that you could actually do tricks, front flips, back flips, and then you score little tiny guys that it's just adorable to play. And it's ridiculously challenging. Trying to figure out the best way to go through these courses is what the game is all about. On top of some excellent motorcycle gameplay, and you could even make your own courses, this is definitely one of the coolest games on this system, and it's one that everyone should play. It's also one that most people have forgotten about. Number 8, RType DX. The original RType games I always thought was, hard. Really, really hard. There's some unfair enemy placement here, and that's what this game still kind of has, but what it also has is slower moving bullets, so it's actually manageable to play this game on a small crunch down handheld device. It also has tons of power-ups, so if you manage to actually collect these, then you're gonna have yourself a great time as an unstoppable juggernaut until you hit one time and die, and then just restart the entire game and try and play it all over again. You also have a charged weapon attack, which is darn useful against some of these bosses, which are quite devious, even though they don't really show off when you're hitting them exactly right. Well, they will blow up in time. So if you have a lot of patience and you really love a good shooter, well, RType DX is for you. Number 7, Metal Gear Solid, also known as Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel. Now, when I originally saw this game, I was actually playing Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1, and I loved that game, and I thought how horrible to condense it down into a Game Boy Color cartridge. But I was wrong, because it was a completely different game. They really should have made that more clear on the packaging here, and sadly, I missed out and then had to way overpay for the game later. And what I did get here was a great Metal Gear Solid experience, or actually more like a classic MVS Metal Gear Solid game. Sure, the screen actually scrolls this time around, but you run from different areas. Everything's chopped up into little tiny bite-sized packages, which means it's a great pick up and play game, and the fact that you can knock on walls to lure people away. You pick up a gun ridiculously early in the game, so if you want to go full Rambo, guns a-blazing, well then you can do that. Hiding from enemies is ridiculously easy, and you can even crawl on the ground like a snake itself. Metal Gear Ghost Babel might not be the very best Metal Gear game, but it is definitely one of the best Game Boy Color ones. Number 6, Rhino Rumble. Thinking about rhinoceroses, what do they have? Giant horns on the front of them. So you would think you would get a game all about charging in and just running over animals. No, it's a run and gun shooter. You know what I really like? Stupid ideas and stupid concepts just seen come to life. Making a video game where you're a rhinoceros as a run and gun Contra-like shooter is ridiculously stupid, and that's what I really like about it. I also like how they put the extra detail in this game where your rhinoceros can change his appearance based on the level you're in. If you're in a, frozen zone with ice that makes everything all slippery, you could have a little blanket on your rhinoceros. If you're in a super hot zone, well then he's wearing sunglasses. That's right, they really embraced the ridiculousness, and that's what the game is all about. On top of being an excellent run and gun game, and it also has some really pitiful platforming moments. Now, this game was made by Telegames, a game company that made a crap ton of Atari Jaguar games, so I can honestly say that they barely know what they're talking about, so the fact that this game is even playable is a total miracle. Number 5, Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. For everyone that just wanted to play a little Mario on the go, this was a huge release. And what they got was a squished down version of Super Mario Bros. So for all those people that thought they mastered the game, try and play this, because it is so much harder now that everything is really zoomed in. The camera actually moves back and forth a little bit because it kinda has to. Your character is huge on the screen, so you can see every little pixel, and also has a running chart, so you actually want to play through all of the levels of the game. Don't just jump to the warp and make it to World 8 in no time, and then try and beat the game as fast as possible. No, you actually want to take your time with this one. You also want to try all the little tricks to see if they kept all the little errors in the game that was there, and even though I can't seem to get them to work, maybe you can. If you really enjoy Super Mario Bros., well, you can't go wrong with this challenging, different take on an old game. Number 4, Shantae. Now, everyone loves Shantae now, but when the game came out, no one even knew what it was. It was a Metroidvania, of course, with a beautiful genie running around smacking people in the face with her whip hair. And it also sported some of the best looking graphics on the entire system. This is basically the very most that the Game Boy Color can do. Also, it had a day and night cycle and some other visual effects like fire, like the whole town's on fire. And if you want to track down this game now, you better be willing to pay a pretty penny for it. Fortunately for us, we could always play it on the Nintendo Switch for just like $5 download price, and it's worth every single penny of it. If you want to see where the original series started, well, it started off with a bang and on the Game Boy Color. Number 3, Legend of Zelda DX, Link's Awakening. Yeah, it's just a repackaged version of Link's Awakening from the old Game Boy, and they did a great job colorizing it. And also, I'm not a super big Zelda fan, but I really did like A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, and I feel like this is a great companion piece to that game. Later, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, made by Capcom, also did a great job, but this first Link's Awakening game on the old GBC is just beautiful, and I think the controls were about perfect. Also, the fact that they tell you where to go and it sort of holds your hand just enough to point you in the right direction was something that I really appreciated as a kid, because I didn't want to run around mindlessly for hours like I did in the first Legend of Zelda game. I think this is a much better 8-bit experience than any of those older Legend of Zelda games. Number 2, Wendy Every Which Way. Now, the Game Boy Color isn't really a good system for run and guns, and WayForward really knew that. That's right, it was the Shantae guys that brought us this game. It takes place in the Casper the Friendly Ghost universe with an obscure character, Wendy Every Which Way. And it's a run and gun platformer game with the twist that you could control gravity, so you could walk on the ceiling, but also you can make your enemies fall to the ceiling too, which means it's all about the puzzles here, because the enemies themselves just aren't super generic. You have to figure out how to kill them and kill them in the best possible way. Do you want to flip them upside down to stun them for a bit, or maybe they'll run and hide in bushes? The game is super creative, and it also gives you plenty of hits, because you could always pick up these little stars, which power up Wendy up to 5 times, and she gets quite powerful. Also, you get little bonus stages sprinkled in here where it's a vertical shooter, and who doesn't love good vertical shooters? If you want one of the best puzzle platforming experiences ever, I cannot say this enough, this is definitely it. But it just misses the mark as the best Game Boy Color game. Number 1, Crystallis, a remake of an NES game, but done right. They didn't just port it over directly. No, instead, they rebalanced the entire game. You level up faster. You collect more money when killing beasts. Normally, it takes me about 2 hours to get to this one section of the game, and here I did it in about 20 minutes. So the fact that it respects the time that you're willing to put into the game really makes it for me. Also, they didn't skimp on the graphics. It looks as beautiful as ever and plays really smooth. The music is still intact. They did add a little bit of other sound effects, and they completely changed the last level of the game, but all of these little things and added touches just make the game far more playable by today's standard and makes it feel quite a bit more finished. The fact that all they did was just take an already great underrated game and just build on it is something that I wish that more companies would seize on, because there are plenty old games that could have used some of this same love and attention. And that's why it goes down as my favorite Game Boy Color game, and chances are yours too. But of course, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this list. I had a great time making it, and I think I talked about all these other Game Boy Color games on previous videos, because the Game Boy Color had a lot of stinkers, and I mean a lot of them. So the fact that I managed to pull 10 good games out of this console is really quite amazing if you ask me. I really recommend checking out that Motocross game, and definitely Crystallis. Wendy Every Which Way can get really expensive, so maybe you should pick up a reproduction card of that. Same with Shantae. So hopefully you can leave me a comment in the comment box down below about your favorite Game Boy Color game, and hopefully it's something I missed, so I have a chance to go and find some more great games for this console. So until later, I will see you again, guys.